G'day guys, MF West here, and today I have got for you my Unholy Death Knight single target rotation guide. This is purely going to be about single target guides. I'm not going to be going over AoE or cleave. I recommend if you want to know that rotation, go to my Mythic Plus guide. I go over it quite in depth. That's going to be in the description, guys. Please look at that. And it's one of my most recent guides and videos as well. Alright guys, so single target Unholy rotation. I'm going to go in, kind of like split this video into two sections. The first section I'm just going to go over a few of the basics and a few minor adjustments to our rotation, as well as a few specific things about the rotation and how a tier set affects our rotation. Second part of the video is going to be using live boss encounters and me just explaining my opener and then my rotation for the boss. Nothing crazy, guys, just that, and I hope you guys have a better understanding of the rotation. And yeah, so from this guide, or this section of the guide, I want to make a talent section, and then I ultimately want to make Unholy Death Knight guides for each of the bosses in Nighthold. Okay, there's nothing like that on YouTube, and I thought I wanted to do it. Starting off with, I thought about skipping Scorpion because it's a bit of a ridiculous fight. It's kind of like loot ship in Icecrown Citadel. I might actually just start from Chronomatic Anomaly and then work my way forward, guys, and giving you guides and like tips and tricks on the bosses, correct talents to be using for the bosses, rotation and lining up CDs with the boss abilities, So yeah, that's what I have in lined up, guys. But let's get into the rotation, guys. I'm just going to do the first part of the guide now.
Right guys, and here we are now. I'm just going to talk over a few massive changes to Unholy in 7.15 and then a few fundamental queries that people are having. Alright, the first thing is our rotation is pretty much still the same. We're accumulating runes with Festering Strike and bursting them with Clawing Shadows. Then there's a new Clawing Shadows build based around Haste and Mastery. If you want to learn more about that, I recommend going to check out the Death Knight Discord channel and check out the Unholy guide there. It's very well explained about how the new build works. We don't use Castigator anymore, we used Clawing Shadows because we want to get as much Mastery as we can, basically, and Shadow Damage, which is what we use, and what Clawing Shadows is using is Scales of Mastery, so you want to get as much Mastery as you can, and a soft haste cap. That's simple, that's basically it. Apocalypse now only bursts 6 wounds, so instead of trying to get that really amazing RNG into 8 runes, we only need 6, so that's a pretty big up. The next thing I want to talk about is Runic Power. Okay, so the big question a lot of people have been asking since the last patch is, do I use Runic Power? Do I spend Runic Power with Death Coil or Death Strike? That is an easy answer now. It's Death Coil. Ever since the buffs to Death Coil is doing so much more damage. It's one of our 3rd or 4th biggest hitting abilities on a single target boss, hands down. No question. And it's still proccing our artifact weapon ability, Scourge of Worlds. So do not spend, or don't think that you have so much Runic Power and use Death Strike. Only use Death Strike at critical amounts of HP. There's no use. You shouldn't be doing it. Death Coil is not a wet noodle anymore. That's the good thing, basically. Okay, so talking about Runic Power generation, the big thing is our new tier set in Nighthold. Our 2 set is going to be causing a Festering Wound to burst has a 10% chance to activate Runic Corruption. Okay, so we now have Runic Corruption on a much, it's popping a lot more often because 10% on every wound, it's gonna be popping quite a lot. So I found from personal experience that I have a lot of wounds available, and a lot of people have been asking, do I dump Runic Power or do I spend runes? Runes is going to be more beneficial, guys. You need to be bursting your wounds as much as possible, and there's a fine balance between bursting your wounds and dumping your Runic Power. Basically, how you want to view it is, you want to be popping all your wounds, and when you see the majority of your runes are on cooldown, you want to be using Death Coil when your Runic Corruption's up, for example, or dumping your Runic Power when your runes are when all your runes are on cooldown. So you want to line it up. So say you have 2 runes left and you need Festering Strike. You Festering Strike and then you immediately get into dumping your Runic Power to make sure that your runes are coming off cooldown. Or you see that you have 3 left and your Runic Power is maxed. Pop 2 wounds and then dump your Runic Power so you're not wasting it too much. because it is in the end going to be beneficial for popping your runes instead of runic power. I'm going to be showing you guys a lot better in the actual live rotation guide in the next few minutes. It'll be easy to understand there. But even I'm trying to still understand the perfect balance between using your runes and then dumping your runic power. I'm still learning about it, but I think I have it down. Yes, and now the next thing I want to talk about is just go back to that 6th wound apocalypse now. So the perfect opener would be 2 festering strikes, 3 stacks of wounds each on those festering strikes, getting you to 6 wounds, then popping apocalypse. See, now if I do it now, there's a bit of RNG into it. 4 and 3. Now the question people ask is, do I pop apocalypse at 5 wounds? Is it not worth it to actually use festering strike, get to 6? Guys, honestly, it doesn't matter, and take into account if you run this talent setup. Infected Claws, for example. Infected Claws gives your pet a 35% chance to actually apply a wound on the target. So sometimes when I get to 5, I wait like 1.5 seconds, and my pet will apply the 6 stack for the wounds. But it is fine to actually pop your Apocalypse at 5 stacks. You're not losing out on that much DPS, guys. If you do Festering Strike and it goes to, say you jump to 8 wounds, you could actually be losing out on a wound, and your Festering Strike's going a bit to waste. And Festering Strike isn't the best ability at the moment with the new 4 set. So it is fine to pop Apocalypse at 5 stacks, guys, but you can wait a few seconds if you're running Infected Claws for your pet to apply that last stack. I'll show you in the guide and I'll explain to you what my opener is like, and you get very different openers, varying openers across the different bosses. For this talents, guys, I'm not going into talents in this video. This is pure single target rotation guide. But for talents, I recommend running this setup for pretty much all the bosses and Nightholds. I recommend for Croesus running All Serve will sim much better. And Necrosis if you actually like the playstyle. But for all the cleave bosses, this is pretty much your go-to setup, swapping in and out of Spell Leader and Lingering Apparitation. That's another video though, guys. I'm going to be going into depth of each boss, which talent setup, tips and everything for that. So yeah, that's pretty much it, guys. And for those worrying about the opener, you're going to see in the next few minutes, you are still popping Army of the Dead at 7 seconds, and I like to pop depending on my distance to the boss, I like to pop my Dark Transformation at around 1 to 2 seconds, and then I'm pre-potting. So with my Dark Transformation, I also pre-pot, and then around like 1 second on my move to the boss, Gargoyle, and then Outbreak, and then into the rotation. If you want to even close down the gap, like I said in my old Unholy Death Knight PvP guide, or PvE guide, sorry, you can even use your pet's abilities. So let me summon my Ghoul, his Festifood, I Dark Transformation him, and then you can even use his Grappling Hook to get him closer to the target. It saves down a little bit of time for your pet to get to a target. If he can't pull the target, he jumps to the target, so that's not that bad. Your pet will be on the boss before you, a little bit more extra DPS. But that's pretty much it, guys. That's pretty much all the basics that I wanted to go over. Now, let's get into the actual core rotation. I'm going to give you guys some live boss examples. Let's get into it, guys. And here we are, guys. Alright, so this is going to be Chiliax on Heroic. I forgot to keep on my pre-pot, but guys, for pre-pots, make sure you're using Potion of the Old War. It's the best pot if you're rich. I sometimes use Prolonged Powers when I'm doing prog. So, like I said, Army of the Dead at 7 seconds. If you want to see what keys I'm pressing, what abilities I'm using, look at the top left-hand corner. I'm going to use my pre-pot and Dark Transformation at 2 seconds. Gargoyle with my Racial. I'm going to Outbreak the target, and then I'm going to Festering Strike. I'm going to get to like 4 stacks here, and then Festering Strike again. If I waited a few seconds there, my Ghoul would have actually, my pet would have sweeped him, and I would have actually got 7 stacks, but oh well, I overcapped it, unfortunately. Sorry for Apocalypse. This is with Time Warp, so it's much easier to do the rotation. And basically, guys, one thing I want to add, make sure you are using all your wounds on the target before you Festering Strike. Don't Festering Strike when you have 2 wounds left. It's a waste because Clawing Shadows, you have to pop them individually. Castigator Burst 2 or 3. So that's a big tip for you guys. And then, as you can see, my runes are coming off cooldown. Use my Titan Doom proc, and then back into spamming Clawing Shadows. And when you like pop 5 or 6 wounds, that's when your burst really hits the ceiling. The top peak, like as you saw there, 1.1 million. That's as far as it will go. And this, guys, is showcasing the opener pretty much. That's about it. This is like the burst phase, and then after that, it's just maintenance, just bursting those wounds. It's very simple. Keeping up outbreak, managing your cooldowns, and then just not having any downtime on any abilities. Yeah, pretty much down to one stack. I festering stack on one stack. You can do that, honestly, if you know there's a phase where you're going to be moving. The best thing about Clawing Shadows, guys, is that you can just keep moving around boss mechanics while DPSing. If you know the boss is going to be moving somewhere, make sure you Festering Strike him 1 or 2 times, and then as you're on the run, burst your Clawing Shadow stacks. That's the whole beauty of this Clawing Shadows build. Alright guys, on Chronomatic Anomaly, this is with no Time Warp this time, guys. Alright, so same thing. Going to Festering Strike, get to 2 stacks, Sweep 3, Festering Strike 7, Soul Reaper, Apocalypse, and I think I burst up around 800k, and for those wondering, my item level is 888, so nothing crazy high, but I do pass quite well. I'll be posting those with the boss guides. And then, yeah guys, same thing. All my runes are off cooldown here. Gonna start bursting those wounds and watching my runic power, as well as my sudden doom proc. I like using my sudden doom procs when they pop. It's just a habit, I guess. As you can see here, a few runes are on cooldown. He's on the run. I have 4 stacks from him, so I can use death coils, reapply my outbreak, and then I spam Clawing Shadows into him at spawns next phase. That is the single target DPS down for that fight. And honestly guys, it's muscle memory. It's just muscle memory. The more you play, the more you do dungeons, the more you do bosses and raids, the more you're going to get used to it, guys. Alright, so here we're on Croesus. Like I said, make sure you're using Potion of the Old War if you're filthy rich for every, even prog, if you can do it. It's a massive DPS increase, guys. Same thing. I'm in the dead 7 seconds, and going to Dark Transformation. As I said, Gargoyle, Orc Racial. I'm going to Outbreak, Festering Strike here, 3, Festering Strike again, 6, perfect. That's a perfect opener of RNG. 2 3-stack Festering Strikes. Sorry for Apocalypse, and then, yeah. We burst quite hard, with Army of the Dead, and when they explode, we do a lot of burst, guys. Probably one of the highest, top 5, top 6 in the game. Of course, not better than Warriors and stuff, but Unholy Burst is pretty good, and if you get Draft of Souls, woohoo, it's going to be amazing. Pretty much same thing here, guys. Festering Strike at 1 stack, and then I'm using my Death Coils right here to make sure my runes go off cooldown, dodging that slam, spamming Clawing of Shadows, and the haste that you get from Soul Reaper and Bloodlust is just amazing. We love it, don't we? We love our haste. And honestly, guys, that is the video. That is going to be my rotation guide for Unholy in 7.15. I will be making a separate guide for 4-piece, but I first need to get 4-piece. I pretty much have 3-piece, but I want to get the right piece for the 4-piece. So that's going to be another video where I talk about how Force Set and Necrosis is going to be our go-to talents for single target fights. If you can, I recommend using Necrosis for Croesus. But that is another video because that rotation is quite annoying, but if it's going to be a DPS increase, let's use it, guys. And that's pretty much it, guys. That is the guide. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you have any questions, ask me down below in the comments. I'll be willing to answer anything you have to ask. I hope this helped you. I hope I gave you some tips and tricks. I hope I actually filled in some blanks for you guys. And yeah, please give it a thumbs up and share with your mates. It means a lot to me, guys. Have an awesome day, guys. MF West out. Many more videos to come.